weren't facing like a team that was like way higher rated though. It's hard to find balanced captain's mode games, especially at the extremes of the MMRs. Well, it should be nice for you to be watching the stream as I'm actually going over this because you can ask questions in real time. Just want to skip through the draft. So immediately, I'd say Timber's probably fine here. He's alright against Witch Doctor's Maledict because he can regen. And if he's regenning, then Maledict won't do any damage. Pretty good against PL and lane just because yeah, I mean, it's kind of the main issue is Timber's just kind of a bad hero right now. You know, he's like a last pick if they don't have a lot of magic and they don't have a lot of what's it called, the Sable. And he also needs to have a good laning. Like he not only does he need to have a good laning stage, but he needs to absolutely destroy the laning stage. So it's just kind of difficult. And the other problem is if you buff him, then you just get Timbersaws in every single game, even in the pro scene. We might see a bit more Timbers now that, I mean, yeah, now that Strength gives magic resist, we might see a bit more Timber. We'll see. Your items are fine. Completely fine. I would have gone the exact same item build for starting items. So you're against the tri-lane here. Got an Omni support, it seems like. Yeah, so the name of the game is to get level 5. As Timber, you get 5 and you're immortal. That's your power spike. That's probably the biggest power spike that you have all game as Timber, is level 5. Kind of waste your salve. Yeah, you definitely should have waited to use your salve there. I'll slow this down. But the good thing about you dying like that is it severely messed up their lane equilibrium. Now they've got 3 heroes down here, just circle jerking around, and all they can do is watch. I mean, they could be going for denies under the tower, but now that the wave is right here, all they can do is watch. What in the world? Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely 3 levels in reactive, sometimes 4, if you just want to like tank the tower forever. But pretty much the skill is at level 5, 203. If you don't need the chain, and you can just tank the creep wave and tank all their heroes all the time, 203. Or alternatively, 113. And those are the only two skill builds on Timber. Yeah, you're kind of just playing up on them a little bit early. Like your two power spikes in the laning stage are level 3 and level 5, so like you don't want to just posture yourself that much until you have that level 3 with the second point in reactive armor, and you don't want to just go full YOLO until you have the level 5 with the 3 points. And then from there you can decide, I think the decision whether to max reactive armor at level 7 or to just start leveling your other two skills comes down to if they rotate on you with 4 or 5, do they kill you if you have max reactive armor with 20 stacks? If the answer is no, they don't kill you, then you max this out at level 7. But if the answer is yes, they do, then I think you just start leveling your other abilities. And as far as items, right now, you're kind of neglecting, like you've got 500 gold, but you haven't bought boots, you haven't bought a quelling blade, which would be really nice in this lane, since now that you've got level 3, you're just farming. So, and especially when you go this magic wand rush, you really need to get the magic wand as soon as you can, because it will pay off. Magic wand is never going to not pay off. So you just got 600 gold in your inventory when you could be accelerating your presence in this lane with items from the side shop. Yeah, generally speaking, try to avoid using the courier for items that you can get from the side shop. Like, these are just in the side shop, so you gotta make you full use of that. If you're not completely familiar with which items are in the side shop and which aren't, just be familiar, I suppose. Spending a little bit too much time away from lane here. Omni Knight should be the one who's collecting these runes. And you should be in lane just hitting creeps. If you didn't leave lane, you could have been level 5 or possibly even level 6 by now, depending on circumstances. And I actually don't like the mono boots rush. I much prefer, like, with the amount of regen that you have on Tinker, I much prefer the soul ring. Like that 2 strength, that 6 strength that you get is so valuable on Timbers. Like, the Mana Boots really don't help you that much. Like, it helps Omni Knight. Yeah. That's just, you know, something you gotta work on in the future. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the Mana Boots. Until you have level 6 and you're just spamming Chakram, the Mana Boots don't really help you that much. So that's where you go for a Soul Ring. And even though the Soul Ring doesn't build into Bloodstone anymore, I don't think you even go Bloodstone on Timber anymore, really. Yeah, you should just be manning up here. I just, let's see, you get 2.4 int. Yeah, I just feel like you don't need to, like, if you do go for the Bloodstone on Timber, is it worth a casual Kaya? I don't think so, because it doesn't contribute to your tankiness. Like, I feel like, Bloodstone is core on Timber when you're going for an Aghanim Scepter. Like, you really need to have, to sustain, you know, constantly using 200 mana in team fights, you really need to have a Bloodstone to sustain that. But other than that, you can really go for, like, items like Lotus Orb, Shiva's Guard, Pipe of Insight. Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. It's just. Oh yeah, Yule Scepter. How could I forget Yule Scepter? I think Aeon Disc is a great item on Timbersaw. I think, yeah, stuff like Yule's, Lotus, Shiva's, I think are more important. Especially in this game, having the Shiva is pretty important. The problem with Bloodstone though is like if you die, if you get the Bloodstone and you just don't start killing people, increasing the charges, and you die with the Bloodstone, it just becomes just a waste of gold, essentially. All I can really say is, as far as like tips for spell usage with Timber, is try to. I think the best way to actually get a good Chakram, because the Chakram, if they're missing HP, it slows them quite a bit. Yeah, for every 5% of health missing, it slows them by 5%. So what you do is you make sure that you're chaining forwards, like into them, and you cast Chakram in a way where Timber won't have to turn around. So, like, essentially you're casting Chakram as you're Timber chaining to get a better positioning with the Chakram. If I'm not saying anything, it's just because I think what you're doing is essentially correct. One thing that you could be doing is just having more reactive armor stacks up. Like, you should be tanking these creeps, tanking this tower and just hitting the tower here, or going behind the tower and just tanking the creeps. Like, there's no reason for you to not have the reactive armor stacks all the way up to 20 when you're just sitting in the lane like this. Like, their way of killing you is yeah, so their way of killing you, they have to get, this is an awful build on Witch Doctor, they have to get Maledict on you, they have to hook you with Pudge, they have to combo you with Spirit Breaker, and he just let you kill him, I guess. And they have to constantly like spam a level 4 lance on you. That's how they kill you, and that's like, that's a lot. So, oh, and I did forget to mention the hood on Timbersaw. Just the casual hood, giving yourself that 60 or that plus 25 magic resist, as well as the like the pipe effect is really value on Timber. Like, look, you're not even going to die to this. Never mind, you do. If you had Hood, you wouldn't have died to that. What the hell? Straight Aghanim's? Yeah, so, as far as a Bloodstone replacement idea for items goes, Yeah, if you're using the skills to the full potential and you're varying yourself clarity and you were like dropping your, I think going mono boots on Timber is correct, for instance. Like if you're dropping your mono boots and using soul ring, you don't really run out of mana like nearly as much as you used to with Timber. And as far as survivability goes, I believe that Hood of Defiance plus Yules is a good item build for Timber or something like that. Like you can get either one before the other. Like if you really need the magic like in lane, you can start building toward the Hood. Or if you need the magic resist more for like team fighting, then you can get the Hood second. But I think your basic items are going to be your arcane boots and your soul ring, as well as your magic wand. And then into like a Hood or a Yule, because like as a Timbersaw, you don't have like any way to cancel a TP, and like you could use Yule to cancel this guy charging at you. You could use Yule to I don't know, like Yule the Pudge if you get hooked and run away with the chain. Nice. Ooh, that was a bit unfortunate use of the soul ring there. If you didn't use the soul ring, you might have been able to, and you had a Hood. If you had a Hood, for sure you would have lived there. But you could have just waited for your mono boots and probably turned and killed PL there. But kind of difficult when you've got Diffusal Blade. Oh yeah. Alright. Yeah, I really gotta say that you should probably just be focusing on your own farm. Really. One tip I can give you for reducing your overall mana usage without really decreasing the ability for you to kill is just use these spells and don't use the chakram so much. Like, especially against a strength hero, try to get this Whirling Death on them as much as possible. Try to use the Timber Chain as much as possible. I feel like you could have killed him if you just spammed your Whirling Death and Timber Chain on him. So you're definitely not focusing on your farm enough. You only have 46 last hits right now. You should have much more. The way you play Timber is you just sit in a lane, push out the lane, farm the camps, continue, rinse and repeat, and you're ungankable because you have, well, a lot of times you're ungankable. If you're building like Hood, Yule, you're pretty ungankable. And you just, you know, suck the farm out of this area of the map. And just continue to become tankier and tankier. So probably just focus on your farm, focus on trying to push out these waves. And as a timber, as far as a farming power spike goes, as soon as you hit level 12, what you can do is, you know, drop your arcane boots, soul ring, and then run up to a wave, chakram, wait for one tick of the chakram to activate, and then timber chain and pull back the chakram at the same time, and it'll one-shot the creeps. So let me know if you don't understand what I just said, and I can show you after this replay. Yeah, it's not difficult. It's just as soon as you hit level 12, and it's really mono efficient. You use the chakram, wait for one tick, and then if you have a maxed out Q, it'll work. You can Q and pull in the chakram at the same time, or if you have a maxed out chain, it'll work as well. You just one-shot the creep wave after that one tick. You just have to wait for that one tick. And if you're using the chain, what you can do is actually timber chain away from the creep wave towards your next farming destination in order to increase your efficiency. So here, pretty much just got caught out without having any reactive armor stacks. But instead of telling you, oh wow, that was so bad, you don't get caught out, I'm going to instead suggest that you not be here in the first place and be down here. Like, really, when you're playing Dota 2, especially the lower down you go, the lower and lower you go, the more this will work. You can just create your own space on the map, and like, it's kind of a bell curve, really. In the middle, it doesn't work as well. It works really well at the high levels and really well at the low levels. But what you do is just push in a wave, then you know that they have to react to this wave, or you're just taking the tower and you're getting all this farm, all the farm of these waves, you're getting all the farm of these jungle camps, you're getting all the farm of these bounty runes all to yourself, and you can play a lot better if you know where they are by forcing them around the map. And this is also why Timber's probably a pretty good hero for pub stomping at lower MMRs, just because you can get the bloodstone up, be unkillable, farm really, really fast, do shitloads of damage later on, and just get a boots of travel, so you can do this constant push in a wave, TP to the opposite side of the map, do it again, you know, farm all the jungle camps in the way, push out mid, just go all around the entire map, farming as much as possible, and just having such a huge advantage that you're just killing the entire enemy team by yourself is something that you can do with Timber. a little bit difficult though, but just try to understand that uh, by being on your side of the map here, you're luring them to a place where it's good for them to be. Like, it's good for them to farm your jungle. It's good for them to be here so that they can get vision deep in. Like, they've got a ward here for, or wait, that's not their ward. They've got a ward here. They could have even gone deeper and got a ward there. And a ward like this is much more valuable for the enemy team than it is for your team, right? So, like, they can group up and push this tower. Roshan's right here. Like, they really want to be on this side of the map. Oh, yeah, thanks for watching. You know, follow if you want. I'm probably going to do more of these, and I'll also stream some of my pub games. What did I say? Oh yeah, so yeah, the enemy team wants to be on this side of the map because Roshan's here. They can push this tower, they can get aggressive vision. So by being over here and not trying to lure them over here, it happens, man. And thanks for following, Moon Man. Thank you. Yeah. Plus, if you're around this area in particular, even though their tier 1 is down, they still have this shrine to TP to. And this ward is really nice for Radiant because they can just, it's really nice, like if you see somebody on this ward, you can just set up on them. You can TP to tier 2 and TP to the shrine and try to get a kill here. So what you actually have to do to counteract, and look how many wards they have here. 1, 2, 3. It's probably going to be 4 right there. So the way you have to play to counteract that is by coming down here, pushing out this wave. Maybe telling your supports to ward their shrine so you don't get backstabbed. Maybe ward here, maybe ward there. That's how you have to play around it. Is by sort of mirroring what they're doing. There's no reason to watch that, right? Oh yeah, another thing, I don't know if you know this or not, but you can disassemble. See the orange text down there? Arcane boots can be disassembled. It's never worth it to wait 900 extra gold to get your bloodstone when you have the energy booster already. Not that I personally think bloodstone is a good build, but I'm just explaining that. Oh yeah, to add on to what I was saying earlier, you also change to boots of travel as soon as you have the bloodstone. Not necessarily. If you are the only like split push hero, split push, defend, waves, whatever type of hero, then it is worth it to get the boots of travel as fast as possible. Like either right after a bloodstone or right after you disassemble into a lotus orb or an aeon disc or whatever. Like it can be worth it. It can be worth it, but on this in this game you have Tinker. You've got a Juggernaut. So these heroes can act as the split push and be elusive. So by making yourself more mobile, you're kind of just starving out your Tinker and your Juggernaut. So it really just depends. Like sometimes you want to limit the amount of farm that you're getting on the map. As somebody who's not like a one position or two position in the game. So by taking up all those lane creeps from your Jug and your Tinker, it's quite possible that you're throwing the game by taking farm from them if you go a boots of travel like that. Just want to fast forward a bit. I don't like the Lincolns, by the way, because they have a lot to cancel it. Just want to fast forward a bit. Thanks for following. Picturesquely cruel. Picturesquely cruel. It's a pretty difficult name to say. I mean, I know exactly how to pronounce it, it's just difficult for me to actually say it. Alright, so... yeah... honestly, I think, I don't really think there's much more I can say about this game. Like, the mistakes that you've already made are, pretty much you fixed those, and you're in a much better spot at this point, and the game would be unrecognizable. So, at this point, I'm just going to, like, briefly touch on the points that I was making. At level 1 and 2, you kind of want to stay a bit passive as Timber in the lane. And then once you have level 3, you want to be tanking the creeps as much as possible and having those 10 reactive armor stacks up as much as you can. And then at level 5, you just continue to do that. Make sure you're using the side shop to get items like finishing your magic wand, and if you're in a lot of times on Timber you're going to want to have a quelling blade just because you have like 50 damage. So having that extra 24 damage is really going to be a huge deal. to a hero like Timber. Um, I personally would have got the Soul Ring, just because it gives you a little bit of extra sustain as well as the 6 strength. I mean before the Mono Boots. Um, Make sure you're just trying to stay in lane. What was the motivation behind doing this for people? To get Twitch viewers and to help people. But I figure this is probably, at least for me, the best way to get Twitch viewers is by, helping people out and making them want to actually watch me. I mean, like, if you're a no-name, not even Divine 5 Dota streamer, you have to give people a reason to watch, right? So I figured, what if I offered some free coaching? Then maybe some people would want to watch me. So it's not entirely unselfish, but I do genuinely want to help people out if I can. Yeah, I mean that's how you can like grow your channel, but just to have like a base of viewers, like just starting out is difficult. So plus I want to have like a more educational stream, so doing something like this for people fits into that idea. And if it becomes like too much down the road, then I can scale it back, or I can like do a lottery for my Twitch followers or something, to do replays. Like an idea I had was, what was it? Do a lottery of Twitch followers, and you can't win like twice in a row, and I just do a couple replays at the end of every stream or something like that. Or you can't win on this twice on the same day or something. Or maybe like twice in the same week. Something like that. Or maybe just do a lottery for the viewers. Oh, the main Dota sub. There's a reason why I'm doing it on smaller ones. Like, I'm assuming you saw the post. Like, I got I got more responses than I expected, to be honest. And, kind of, sort of luckily for me, a lot of them were SEA players. So, I didn't have to do the SEA players because the replays aren't working. But if I posted on the main Dota sub, it just would have been way too much, or it just would have got buried, I think. So I wanted to have like a medium response. You can submit something if you want. I mean, yeah. But back to the game, really. Like the amount of responses I got. No thanks, you're hopeless. Oh, that's I mean, I think the same thing about myself, and I'm Ancient 5, so, I mean, if anything, you probably have more hope than me, because you're probably, like, new to the game, or something like that. Yeah, so, Moggoblin, do you have any more questions about this game? I kind of want to wrap this one up. I think you definitely need to focus a bit more on your farm. And I think you want to use, like, the way you want to play Timber is use Timber Chain and Whirling Death to get them low, and then hit them with the Chakram. So you can slow them down when they're already missing health. And then once they're slowed with the Chakram, you can Timber Chain, Whirling Death them if you have to, or you can just pull back the Chakram once they're about to walk out of range and kill them like that. So that is how you minimize the amount of mana that you're using in fights with Timber. Okay, so let's move on to the next replay here. We've got an offlane Pangolier. This hero is the bane of my existence. Let's see if we got the replay. Yep. So I'm gonna open this on Dota Buff. I'm making tabs on Dota Buff of all these matches in the order that I did them so I can more easily clip them out and upload them to YouTube after